Hi, this is Dr. Jason Posner from Boca Raton, Florida, and I'm here for the Plastic Surgery Channel for a really exciting episode of No Spin Live. We have two world-renowned experts with us. We have Dr. Mary Gingras from Nashville, Tennessee. Say hi, Mary.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
And we have Dr. Peter Fedor from Los Angeles, California, who's currently in Aspen, Colorado. Say hi, Peter.
Thanks for having me on. Hello, everybody.
So we have two exciting stories to talk about today. The first story is talking about Julie Chen. And the question is, she had an Asian eyelid double lid surgery performed some years ago. And she claims that she needed it done because of some business opportunities. So I'd like to discuss this from a perspective of, one, getting things done for work, and two, changing your ethnicity for work, pleasure, whatever else. So let's start with Mary and kind of talk about this story.
Well, I think it's kind of a timely story, and maybe that's why she just sort of came out and talked about it, because the political environment right now is very sensitive to women possibly being pressured into things they don't want to do, whether it's to make it at work or, other reasons. But, I think the topic is definitely on the table. My opinion of what I read about it is that, she didn't have to do it. She chose to do it. It sounds like she weighed out her alternatives. She talked about it with her family, which is where that ethnicity thing comes in. And, she decided that I'm going to feel better about myself in the environment that I'm in right now, which is kind of a westernized media. And that I think it's perfectly fine that she did it. And I applaud her for talking about it.
Peter, in the article that we all read, it said that she got it because she looked too Chinese and that she wouldn't play to a more Western audience on the news. What do you think about that?
Well, that's very possible, but it's hard to tell. When I looked at her before and after pictures, basically, she didn't have just her eyes done. She also had her nose done. It looks to me from her photo gallery that she had her nose done maybe more than once, because her nose got a lot thinner than it was before. When you think about Michael Jackson, whose nose was done so many times that finally there was no nose left there. But in her case, I think both her eyes and nose look very good. And with a little makeup, it almost reminds me of some case of the television show Extreme Makeover, when several things were done. And for a change, the media is picking up on the positive aspects of aesthetic surgery. And I like that, because she was very successful as an anchor person. It didn't hurt to be married to Les Moonves, who is the CEO of CBS. But just the same, I think what Mary was talking about and what you were implying, Jason, is that there is an issue here about ethnic changes. And I think it behooves us as plastic surgeons to be very careful during our preoperative consultations to assess to what degree these patients, not only from the standpoint of their families and friends, but more importantly from their own standpoint, to what degree they're willing to depart from their ethnicity.
The controversial part for me is it makes me a little uncomfortable. It's a little prickly when her agent said, I'm not going to represent you unless you do this. Okay, it's 10 years later. We can now kind of talk about that openly. But, I think that we've come a long way, and that's good.
Yeah. I think you're both right on this. Peter, you had a word?
The only thing I was going to say, we don't know exactly how that conversation, transpired. It was 10 years ago.
Right.
Mary's right. She looked very Chinese. But that doesn't necessarily...
She was very pretty.
I thought she was beautiful in her before and her after shot.
I agree.
And also she's a little more Hollywoodized now, a little bit of makeup, maybe a little bit of fillers.
Right, but she looks significantly better in my aesthetic sense afterwards.
Me too.
Yeah,
me too.
and I agree with your comments on her nose, and it looks nice.
What's nice is also that she's a little older and she actually looks better to us. And I think that's just due to current anti-aging techniques and what subtleties we have in our armamentarium.
Right.
Cool. Okay, let's go to the second story. The second story involves Kylie Jenner once again. And Kylie Jenner got some of her lip filler dissolved. And now they're talking about, in the story, whether lip lifts are the new thing. It's kind of crazy. But let's start with Peter on this one. You get the first word. Peter?
Oh my God, I'm putting me on a spot.
Well, Mary went first last time. So
I know, you're being very fair, and I appreciate that, Jason. You're a great moderator. But anyway, when I look at her picture that was part of this AOL story, she was putting lipstick above her lip line. In other words, even though she was already augmented with fillers, she wanted to have more of a lip. Because patients who disguise the what we call in plastic the white line, the joining line between the regular skin and the red skin or the mucosa, we call it, of the lip, that's the white line. And she was putting lipstick on top of that. So it would seem to me that she wasn't fully pleased with how much augmentation she got. What's important, however, for us as we're discussing this, that not all lip augmentations with the current techniques performed with fillers have to look like duck lips or suction cups or something. There are techniques now that you can get very nice results from. And if there is a saturation in the Hollywood, in the people from Hollywood, in their minds, with how large their lips are, and now they're thinking about dissolving them, they may want to first consider getting augmentation to be done more softly with fillers.
You know, I would agree. I do not think this is the next big thing. I think it's going to be a little blip on the radar screen. I actually have already had 2 people ask about it. So clearly it's out there, in which I haven't, I can't think of the last time somebody asked about it. So it must be in the whatever media people are looking at. I mean, I think this is kind of an old operation. It was popular when we didn't have the great fillers that we have now. So the fact that we're talking about is the lip, it doesn't really have anything to do with Kylie Jenner or her fillers. And she had pretty aggressive fillers before, now that you see her with the fillers, partially dissolved. So, I don't like that overfilled look. It's not my aesthetic ideal in any way, shape, or form. My face practice is much more subtle, and people who come to my practice are not looking for that Hollywood look for the most part. So, I think the lip lift itself is kind of a risky operation, because if you get a bad scar, it's very noticeable. In the right patient, I think it can be a great operation. Someone who's got an elongated lip, they have a long length, and it's going to shorten that lip and bring the red lip roll out a little bit, and it can be very powerful in the right person, but it's not applicable to many people.
I mean, I just personally think Kylie was probably a little bored, and she said, "Oh, let's dissolve my fillers for a little while and see what media sensation I can cause and get some attention." But
or maybe she had a problem and had to get it dissolved because there was some asymmetry or something. I mean, there's lots of.
Well, the only thing in closing on my end that I just want to say that in older patients with facelifts can be a very good operation. The scarring is much better on them than in younger people, and I think that's important. That's important to explain to patients. But other than that, I agree with everything Mary said.
I've never done it on a young person.
Me neither. Well, I've done like 1 or 2 young ones, but they had really long lips.
Really long lips, yeah. They're usually having jaw surgery and everything too.
All right, I think we covered this really well. So, another episode of No Spin Live at Plastic Surgery Channel, and, you guys did great.